नमस्ते बिटिया, हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया। Myself, JVN Dr. Asta Sikarwar, Assistant Professor, Department of Organ of Medicine, Faculty of Homeopathic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Today's topic is from psychology, sensation and perception. Both are the other sides of the coin. Sensation is the process that allows our brains to take information via our five senses, which can then be experienced and interpreted by the brain. Sensation occurs thanks to our five sensory systems: vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. Each of these systems maintains unique neural pathways with the brain, which allows them to transfer information from the environment to the brain very rapidly. Without sensation, we would not be able to enjoy the sunny spring day at the park. Each sensory system contains unique sensory receptors which are designed to detect specific environmental stimuli. Once detected, sensory receptors convert environmental stimulus energy into electrochemical neural impulses. The brain then interprets those neural messages, which allow the brain to experience and make decisions about the environment. Let's take a little bit closer look at the process of sensation by examining each of the five sensory systems involved. Sensation and perception are the two separate processes that are closely related. Sensation is input about the physical world obtained by our sensory receptors, and perception is the process by which the brain selects, organizes, and interprets these sensations. In other words, senses are the physiological basis of perception. Perception of the same senses may vary from one person to another because each person's brain interprets stimuli differently based on that individual's learning, memory, emotions, and expectations. Perception refers to the way the world looks, sounds, feels, tastes, or smells. In other words, perception can be defined as whatever is experienced by a person. Thus, perception, our experience of the world, arises from sensory input plus the ways we process the sensory information. For example, when we perceive the visual riches of an art museum, pupils' faces, television, or a conversation, active processes work on the sensory input to transfer it into what we actually experience. Illusions are familiar examples of perceptual processes at work. An illusion is not a trick or misperception, it is a perception. Perceptual processes form perception. The most fundamental process in form perception is the recognition of a figure on a ground. We see the objects and forms of everyday experience standing out from a background. Pictures hang on a wall, words are seen on a page, and a melody stands out from the repetitive chords in the musical backgrounds. The pictures, words, and melody are perceived as the figure, while the wall, page, and chords are the ground. Contours in visual form perception. We are able to separate forms from the general ground in our visual perception only because we can perceive contours. Contours are formed whenever a marked difference occurs in the brightness or color of the background. Contours give shape to objects in our visual world because they mark one object off from another, or they mark an object off from the general ground. When contours are disrupted visually, as in camouflage, objects are difficult to distinguish from the ground. But just because contours give shape to forms does not mean that contours themselves are shapes. The reversible faces of the figure above shown the difference between contour and shape. Although both faces are formed by the same contour, they obviously do not have the same shape. Contours determine shape, but by themselves they are reshapable less. Are shapeless. While differences in energy levels of light across the retina are involved in the formation of the most contours in everyday experience, it has been found that contours are sometimes be seen without any energy difference at all on the two sides of the contour. These are the so-called subjective contours. For example, in the figure above, you see the contours of the upright triangle. Even though there are no energy changes occur its perceived borders except in the corners. Note that the three triangles forming the corners of the inverted triangle do not generate a subjective contour. Organization in form perception. When several objects are present in the visual field, we tend to perceive them as organized into patterns or groupings. How people perceive a well organized pattern or how instead of many separate parts is a topic of interest of Gestalt psychology. According to Gestalt psychologists, the whole is different than the sum of its parts. There are five main laws of grouping: proximity, similarity, continuity, closure, and good figure. The law of proximity states that the closer objects are to one another, the more likely we are to mentally group them together. The law of similarity leads us to link together parts of the visual field that are similar in color, lightness, texture, shape, or any other quality. The law of continuity leads us to see a line as continuing in a particular direction rather than making an abrupt turn. According to the law of closure, we prefer complete forms to incomplete forms. The law of good figure says that there is a tendency to organize things to make a balanced, symmetrical figure that includes all the parts. Although most often applied to visual perception, the Gestalt's law also apply to perception in other senses. When we listen to music, for example, we do not hear a series of disconnected or random tones. We interpret the music as a whole, relating the sounds to each other based on how similar they are in pitch, how close each other they are in time, and other factors. We can perceive melodies, patterns, and form of music. Perceptual processes visual. Depth perception. Depth perception is the ability to see the world in three dimensions and to perceive distance. Although this ability may seem similar, depth perception is remarkable when we consider that the images projected on each retina are two-dimensional. From these flat images, we construct a vivid three-dimensional world. To perceive that, we depend on two main sources: the information or cues, mono, monocular cues, which allow us to perceive depth with just one eye, and binocular cues, a depth cue that requires both eyes. Monocular cues for depth perception. These cues are the one used by the painters to give us a three-dimensional experience from a flat painting. Linear perspective. It refers to the fact that parallel lines such as railroad tracks appear to converge with distance, eventually reaching a vanishing point at the horizon. The more the lines converge, the farther away they appear. Clearness. The more clearly we see an object, the nearer it seems. A distant mountain appears farther away on a hazy day than it does on a clear day because haze in atmosphere blurs fine details and we can see only the larger features. Interposition. When one object overlaps or partially blocks our views of another object, we judge the covered object as being farther away from us. Shadows. The pattern of shadows or highlights in an object is very important in giving an impression of depth. Gradients of texture. Most surfaces such as the ground, a road or a field of flowers have a texture. The texture becomes denser and less detailed as the surface resides into the background, and this information helps us to judge depth. Movement. When you move your head, you will observe that the objects in your visual field move relative to you and to one another. If you watch closely, you will find that the objects nearer to you than the spot at which you are looking, the fixation point, move in a direction opposite to the direction in which your head is moving. On the other hand, objects more distant from the fixation point move in the same direction as your head moves. A binocular cue for depth perception. We look out at the world with both eyes simultaneously, and we are thus able to add binocular cues for depth perception to monocular cues. Because our eyes are spaced about 7 centimeters apart, the left and the right retinas receive slightly different images. This difference in the left and the right images is called binocular disparity. The brain integrates these two images in a single three-dimensional image, allowing us to perceive depth and distance. From a demonstration of binocular disparity, fully extend your right arm in front of you and hold up your index finger. Now alternate closing your right eye and then your left eye you while focusing on your index finger. Notice that your finger appears to jump or shift slightly, a consequence of the two slightly different images received by each of your retinas. Next, keeping your focus on the right index finger, hold your left index finger up much closer to your eyes. You should notice that the nearer finger creates a double image, which is an indication of your perceptual system that it is at a different depth than the farther finger. When you alternately close your left and right eyes, notice that the nearer finger appears to jump much more than the more distant finger, reflecting a greater amount of binocular disparity. Perceptual processes. Consistency. As we view an object, the image it projects on the retinas of our eyes changes with our viewing distance and angle, the level of ambient light, the orientation of the object, and the other factors. Perceptual consistency allows us to perceive an object as roughly the same in spite of changes in the retinal image. Size consistency. When an object is near to us, its image on the retina is large. When that same object is far away, its image on the retina is small. In spite of the changes in the size of the retinal image, we perceive the object as the same size. For example, when you see a person at a great distance from you, you could not perceive that a person is very small. Instead, you think that the person is of normal size and far away. Psychologists have proposed several explanations for the phenomenon of size consistency. First, pupils learn the general size of the objects through experience and use this knowledge to help judge size. Another explanation for size consistency involves the relative sizes of objects. According to this explanation, we see objects as the same size at different distances because they stay the same size relative to surrounding objects. Some of the illusions like the arrowhead or Muller layer illusion and mole illusion are explored in terms of misplaced size consistency. When the moon is close to the horizon, it seems larger than when it is in the sky overhead. Psychologists today still debate the cause of this illusion, which has fascinated scientists and philosophers for centuries. Here, the moon looms large over the San Francisco skyline. Brightness consistency. Brightness consistency means that our perception of an object's lightness or darkness remains constant despite changes in illumination. To understand brightness consistency, try the following demonstration. First, take a plain white paper of sheet into a brightly light room and note that the paper appears to be white. Then turn out a few of the lights in the room. Now that the paper continues to appear white. Brightness consistency illustrates an important perceptual principle. Perception is relative. Brightness consistency may occur because the white piece of paper reflects more light than any of the other objects in the room, regardless of the different lighting conditions. Perceptual processes movement perception. Adaptive behavior in the visual world requires that we perceive movement actually. It allows baseball outfielders to calculate the speed and trajectory of a ball with extraordinary accuracy. Automobile drivers rely on motion perception to judge the speeds of other cars and avoid collisions. We need movement consistency to adapt to events in our visual world. It is because the perceived velocity depends on the rate at which an object moves relative to the background. As you walk along a path or simply move your head or your eyes, images from many stationary objects move around on your retina. How does your brain know which movement on the retina is due to your own motion and which is due to the motion in the world? The concept of a brain comparator has been postulated to explain how it is possible to differentiate between the real motion of an object and motion caused by our own movement. The brain comparator compress, compares information about muscle movements with information about movements of retinal image. Unlike real motion, apparent motion is the movement perceived in the absence of physical movement of an image across retina. For example, motion pictures are rarely a series of slightly different still pictures flashed on a screen at a rate of 24 pictures of frames per second. From this rapid succession of still images, our brain perceives fluid motion, a phenomenon known as stro sorry stroboscopic movement. Perceptual processes plasticity. Plasticity refers to the modifiability or moldability of perception. Suppose that you could restore sight to a person who was blind. Using only vision, would that person be able to tell the difference between a cube and a sphere, which she or had, which she or he had previously experienced only through touch? Experiences with men who were blind for a long time due to cataract and then had their vision restored late in life shows that when their vision was restored, they very often confused by visual input and were unable to see the world accurately. For instance, they could detect motion and perceive colors, but they had a great difficulty with complex stimuli such as faces. Much of their poor perceptual ability was probably due to the fact that the synapses in the visual areas of their brains had received little or no stimulation throughout their lives. Thus, without visual experience, the visual system does not develop properly. Perceptual processor individual differences. People differ in the ways they process sensory inputs to give rise to what they experience. Individual differences in learning, sights, motives, and perceptual styles are at work to make one person's perception different from those of another. Perceptual learning. Perceptual learning is defined as an increase in the ability to extract information from the environment as a result of experience or practice with the stimulation coming from it. For example, a trained ornithologist can distinguish the calls of birds, but most of us have great difficulty. Set. Set refers to the idea that we may be ready and primed for certain kinds of sensory inputs. Such expertise or sets vary from person to person and are a factor in both selection of sensory input for inclusion of the focus of attention and in the organization of inputs. Motives and needs. Motives and needs influence perception. We may attain to and organize sensory inputs in ways that match our needs. For example, people who are hungry, thirsty, and sexually aroused are likely to pay attention to the events in the environment which will satisfy these needs. Perceptual cognitive styles. People are said to differ in their ways they typically and characteristically process information. The general processing strategies that characterize different people are known as perceptual cognitive styles. Among many dimensions along which people vary in perceptual cognitive styles are the degrees to which their perception are flexible or constricted and their field dependence or field independence. Abnormal perceptions. Hallucination. Hallucinations are false perception of a sensory stimulus. These occur in the absence of an appropriate object, yet the patient still insists that he has perceived something. They can occur in all sensory modalities. Auditory sense hallucination are seen in psychosis. The patient may complain of hearing noises, music, words, phrases, or more elaborate speech. The voices may be pre-security, neutral, unpleasing. Second person voices that with distressing content are found in severe depressive illness. Third person voices are suggestive of schizophrenia in the absence of organic brain disease. Visual hallucination may vary in complexity from simple flashes of light to sophisticated visions of the pupil or animal. They are seen with organic psychosis, especially toxic or drug related states. Olfactory hallucination may occur in temporal lobe epilepsy, schizophrenia, and depressive illness. Hallucination of taste are rare but characteristically occur in temporal lobe epilepsy. Tactile hallucinations are seen in organic states such as alcohol withdrawal or cocaine and amphetamine abuse. Formication is the tactical hallucination of insects crawling over the skin. It is seen in cocaine psychosis. Kinesthetic hallucinations include feeling movements when none occurs. Individuals usually describe this phenomenon as floating above their bodies and looking down on the scene. Out of body experience described in near death situations may be kinesthetic hallucinations. Second, illusion. Illusions are misperception of an actual sensory stimulus. For example, a patient in the hospital may misperceive the movement of the bed curtain as a person and become frightened. Illusions occur in schizophrenia but are most common in delirium. Misperceptions in intensity, either increased or decreased, occur in functional or organic diseases. Misperception in form occurs in organic lesions of the visual pathway. These include micropsia when the objects appear in smaller and macropsia when the objects appear larger. Misperceptions in quality, for example, color occur due to toxic substances. Third, abnormal experiences of self and environment. Deja vu is characterized by the patient's feeling that he has been in his current situation before. It is seen in temporal lobe epilepsy. Capgras syndrome occurs in schizophrenia and dementia. Here, the patient asserts that people are not who they claim to be. Depersonalization is seen in heightened anxiety levels. The patient feels detached and views himself as strange and unreal. Derealization involves a similar alteration in patient's sense of reality of the outside world. Objects in the outside world may seem altered in size and shape and pupil appear dead or mechanical. This is all about sensation and perception. This session powered by digital version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention it in comment box. I will resolve it. Thank you.